We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It's Monday, starting another week. I suspect this is going to be a busy one. We've got a number of things coming up that we will talk about. And we're fortunate to have a guest on the show today. He's been on the show one other time, and he's back again. His name is Dan, and he's from Michigan, a well known swing state. So, Dan, thanks for joining us again.
My pleasure.
So how things going up in Michigan? You got snow?
Unfortunately,
Really?
I'm originally from California, so I hate the snow.
Okay. Okay. How
The,
much snow do you
the,
have?
what?
How much snow do you have?
It just started today.
Oh, okay. We got a little bit
So,
yesterday, but nothing stayed.
but now you're in Central Time Zone. So what? Was that like Colorado,
No, Minnesota. Minnesota.
Minnesota? Okay.
A hotbed for cold and snow. So, we get it. Although El Nino is supposed to make it a little calmer around here this year. At least we're hoping that to be the case. Now, Dan was on a while back. He's back on. We're going to talk about some of the things upcoming. I don't know if you've been following this George Santos thing. It looks like he's going to, there's going to be a vote in the House, and he's finally going to get expelled. It's about fucking time, don't you think?
I do, actually. It's nice to see that the Republicans are stepping up, but I think that's more of a show. I don't think I think they're only doing it just to win voters back.
You think they're doing it to as kind of a performative thing to try to show we're not so crazy?
Yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
Well, they got a lot to cover up and a lot to change if that's what they hope to do, because there's a lot of negative shit going on with the Republican Party. And this vote should be interesting. Now, did you hear that George Santos is a little wired up about this prospect? I think he's knows it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be expelled, and he's upset about. Have you heard about that at all?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't followed it much because, frankly, Santos really doesn't. Santos is like small potatoes.
Well, compared to everything else, that's true. But Santos has been saying some things. He called one other representative, Republican representative, called him a pussy. Said that they all go to parties and drink all night with lobbyists. They come to work with hangovers or even drunk. There's a lot of adultery going on amongst these Republican House members. I wonder if he isn't going to start giving out some names when he finally gets kicked out. I mean, this guy thinks he's still innocent. He's really so delusional. He thinks he's innocent in spite of all the
Well, don't they
evidence.
all?
Yeah, they do. I don't know if it's because they believe they're innocent or they just doubled down and refused to admit they're wrong. I don't know which it is, but it is kind of fucking annoying eventually. So what do you think if George starts to give out some names of these less than ethical people that are his colleagues?
Uh, I don't think we'll see anything come of it personally. They'll just chalk it up to as the sour grapes.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I mean, George is known to be a liar, so it's kind of silly to start believing him now. But what George is talking about now sounds pretty familiar. You remember Madison Cawthorn when he got shown the door by his voters. He was kind of saying the same things about the parties, the orgies, and all this stuff. It makes you wonder if two of these people bring this sort of stuff up, you wonder what's going on behind the scenes in our Congress, whether it be the Senate or the House of Representatives. These people have money, they have power, they basically have immunity from a lot of things. I guess it wouldn't surprise me that there's some crazy shit going on behind the scenes.
You know, I recently started going back to church, and I forgot what it was like going back to church. Uh, and it reminded me of, and this is just an anecdote.
Right.
It reminded me of the hypocrisy, like Mike Johnson.
Yeah. Good point.
Um, you know,
Well, hypocrisy seems to play a big role amongst the Republican Party. They talk about Democrats who are involved in sexual assault or pedophilia or something like that, but the only ones that ever get arrested seem to be Republicans. That's fucking, it goes back to what we've said before about them projecting everything they accuse the Democrats of. Seems like they're the ones guilty of the very same thing.
when I was on your show the first time around, someone made a comment that I sound more like an Eisenhower Republican.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I, I'm a big history fan.
Okay.
Um, I just saw the movie Oppenheimer.
Right, right. I saw
Because
that too.
I love the Manhattan Project,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking forward to that new movie coming out, Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
But I I refer to myself as a Reagan Republican because I was born in the 70s and I was raised in the 80s.
Right.
So I only go back as far as Ronald Reagan.
Well, let's talk about Reagan. You're a Reagan fan?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's my hero.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't know.
let's.
I don't know what Eisenhower really did. I
Well,
mean,
I
I mean,
Eisenhower was president when I was born, so and then Kennedy took over in '61. So I don't
one,
really.
I know that much, but I mean, I don't know the difference between,
Well, I think Eisenhower was pretty straight laced. He was the one that warned us against the military industrial complex, something that's become a problem now. I'm going to give you a little pushback on Reagan, and I'm not trying to give you shit here, but I'd like your response. In 1980, I was 20 years old. That was the
mhm.
first time I ever voted for president. And I voted for Ronald Reagan because I didn't really know much about anything. And the economic situation and the gas prices and all that stuff were bad when Jimmy Carter was in office. So I voted for Reagan. And at the time, I liked Reagan's attitude, the way he dealt with things. He seemed like a tougher guy. He seemed like he could handle more things. But in retrospect, I see a lot of things that are negative about Reagan. For example, he's the one that instituted trickle down theory. Give all the money to the rich people and it will trickle down to us middle class. Well, for 45 years, that's been tempted and been sold to us, and it's never worked. This was just a scam, I think, to get money to rich people and take it away from the middle class. We had Social Security. That was the time when they decided to tax Social Security as opposed to, being tax free, since you've already paid taxes on that money anyway. Also, Ronald Reagan was part of the group that took $7 trillion out of the Social Security budget or uh, coffers to put it to some other use in politics. So when I look at those things, I'm not as big a fan of Reagan as I was back in the day.
Mhm.
What did you like about him?
Well, One, he's, let's see. Now I'm going to screw this up because it's been a long time since
It's all right. We're just having a conversation here.
I read this. He did something. He had a law instituted about assault rifles.
Right.
For one.
Right.
And he knew he was a great diplomat. Look what he did with the Germany and the Berlin Wall.
No, I'm not suggesting that Reagan was all bad. Reagan was a great communicator, and he brought a lot of comfort to the people of this country because they felt like he was in control. So I'm not saying everything about Reagan was bad, but there were some issues with his administration.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying that he was perfect, but my thing was he was for one, he was, like I said, his stance on gun control.
Right.
And he was a terrific when it came to his policies.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If you had your choice, Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump, who would you pick?
Oh, if Ronald Reagan was still alive, Ronald Reagan.
Right. And I would too. Like when Donald Trump first came in office, prior to that, I had always said that George W. Bush was the dumbest president we ever had. Had to rethink that when Donald Trump came in. But at some point, I was even saying I miss George W. Bush.
Hell, I take Gore over
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gore over Trump.
Well, you liken yourself to a Republican, and that's fine. But what do you think of the Republican Party now? Does the Republican Party even exist as we knew it?
No.
Not at all. I mean, there are some people in the Republican Party currently that claim to be the old guard, claim to be the normal people in the Republican Party. But I disagree.
Sorry.
No, I just say I disagree with that because they've been going along with MAGA. Even if you don't see yourself as MAGA, if you support MAGA or stand behind MAGA, you're just as bad. You're an accessory after the fact.
Yeah, it's like when someone kills someone or robs someplace and you're right next to them and you don't do anything.
Right.
The only members who are true members of the Republican Party anymore are rhinos, as Donald Trump calls them.
Yeah, but how many of those do we really have, though?
Have you ever heard of an organization called Republicans Against Trump?
I did. I just heard about it today, as a matter of fact. I don't know much about them.
Yeah. They do a lot of things, and they're a good organization.
Right.
In fact, I'm a member of them.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and if I'm thinking of a Republican, if I was to pick out the epitome of a Republican, it would be somebody like John McCain, somebody that has some integrity but is conservative in nature. I didn't always agree with him, but I could at least respect his decency. And unfortunately, the Republican Party seems to have lost all decency, and therein lies the problems.
Yeah, the MAGA Republicans, see, anyone who doesn't agree with Donald Trump is considered a rhino.
Right.
And to me, I just find that offensive because that's what a fascist is.
Well, in actuality, in actuality, the term rhino means Republicans
In
in
name
name
only.
only. That better describes the MAGA people because they call themselves Republicans, but they don't resemble anything the Republican Party stood for prior to 2015. They're more the rhinos in actuality.
Exactly. Exactly. But they will insist that they are the Republican Party now.
Right. Right.
But they're
And
not.
no, they're more of a fascist party, which is troubling. But as a Republican, how does that make you feel? Does that piss you off? Do you see any way out of this? I mean, do you
I
see MAGA
feel
going away?
what I feel for them is not so much anger, it's more pity.
Why pity?
Because to be misled like that by a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the big problem here. They chose a leader. Voters chose a leader who is emotionally and mentally broken and not very bright. It's like, let's pick the dumbest guy we can follow and make him our Lord and Savior. And that's what they did. And now they're reaping the negativity that's coming back because Donald Trump is not going to find his way out of this. He's not going to redeem himself. And all these people following him are going to go over the cliff with him.
It's like those people who ended up in jail for the January 6th incident. Are you that brain dead? You don't understand that you're willing to go to jail. You're willing to risk your life for a mentally incompetent boob.
Well, I'll tell you how brain dead they are. There's one insurrectionist that was on trial and was going to um, get get his sentence, and he was being very contrite and apologetic, and he still got a large number of years where he was sentenced. And after being contrite and saying all these nice things and saying all the things he was supposed to say, because he got that sentence on the way out, he raised his hand over his head and he said, Trump 2024. These fucking people will lie and they don't listen and they don't learn.
Yeah, you're not apologetic. You're sorry you got caught.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
You
sorry you
know,
got caught.
that's what it is. You're not sorry about the people that you killed or you maimed or you know injured. You're sorry that you got caught and now that you gotta be held accountable.
The question I always have is, were these people gaslit or hoodwinked or led astray? And do they actually believe the things they are fighting for? Or are they just criminal at heart in the sense that I know it's wrong, but I'm going to say it's not wrong and I'm going to fight against it because as long as I get what I want, that makes it right. I'm not sure which way these people think. I think there are some stupid people that got led astray, but I think there's a lot of people that know exactly what the problem is, that they are wrong, and they just want to be right and they want to force the issue because that's what Republicans do. They will force shit down your throat. And I think now people are getting tired of that.
Well, if I may quote from the Bible here, it says, man is evil at heart.
That's from the
Um,
Bible. That's from the Bible. Men are evil at heart. I don't know because I'm not a
no,
theologian.
well, in Genesis it says, now I could be paraphrasing here.
Well, the only reason I ask you this is because Mike Johnson recently, an interview came out from a while back where he said that. He said, men are evil at heart. And I don't know that that's fully true. I mean, I think there is some evil out there, but I don't think all people are evil. Not everybody.
No, because man also has freedom of choice to make the right choice between right and wrong.
Right. Right.
Um, you know, for Mike Johnson to go down to Mar-a-Lago and kiss Donald Trump's ring, that's a wrong choice.
Yeah, no shit. And both Mike Johnson and Kevin McCarthy did it.
And I mean, you never catch me doing that.
No.
I spit in his face before I do something that stupid.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole symbolism of it is bad, and it's just like, Kevin McCarthy had a chance to push Donald Trump aside and get him out of the mix and get them out of a lot of trouble. Instead, he decided to embrace him and bring him back into the fold, and they are where they are now. I wanted to bring something else up uh, today when the show is airing. There's a hearing with a panel of judges in Washington, D.C., and they are going to be hearing the arguments regarding the gag order in D.C. put on by Judge Chutkan. Donald Trump, of course, has appealed the gag order because he says it's against his First Amendment rights. But they're going to argue this, and it's going to be decided whether they uphold the gag order or they take it off. I personally think that they're going to uphold the gag order based on Donald Trump's behavior in the past 2 weeks. What do you think?
You know what? I can't say I don't have much faith in the criminal justice system anymore.
Really?
So it's
I think a lot of people feel that way. I think they do, and it's justified.
it's I really can't say at this point. You know,
Well, the thing.
have you read Marjorie Taylor Greene's new book?
No, and I'm not gonna read it. I don't think anybody's gonna read that motherfucking thing. That's I'm
I haven't read it, and I don't want to. I just know that it exists because I saw it on Amazon. I was
yeah,
looking at the comments,
yeah. There's a
and
lot of negative comments on that, and
$27 for this piece of shit.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
pay that.
well, maybe the Republican Party, if they even like her anymore, will do what they did with Donald Trump Jr.'s book. Remember what happened there? Donald Trump Jr. put out a book and it made the bestseller list. And then we found out the RNC bought a shitload of them and stored them in a basement someplace. So it really wasn't a bestseller. It was just that the RNC bought a shitload of them. I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene is in good standing with the Republican Party at this point. She's kind of out on an island. MAGA MAGA doesn't like her. Nobody likes her. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is starting to see the writing on the wall. I think her time is short here.
One can hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally think that the Democrats don't mind that she's still in the House of Representatives, don't mind that Lauren Boebert is still there because they're really ineffective. And it's better to have ineffective reps for the Republican Party than actually have somebody who's good there. They're just happy to keep them in the spot until 2024.
Hmm. It's at this point that I'm so ashamed that I even belong to that party.
Well, why do you still? Do you think there's hope that the Republican Party will come back as you knew it?
Yeah, they got some psychological help.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of Republicans dropping away from the Republican Party. Do you think maybe this country is outlived its need for individual parties? Maybe if we just have individuals running for president and everything is equal, and we get rid of the electoral college and money in politics, maybe we don't need parties.
I've been saying that for years, that, the parties have been dividing this country for years.
Exactly.
It's time that we get rid of the parties and start coming together as one.
Well, I think it's fair to say that division in this country makes us weaker. I think the media makes us weaker with division because every one of them tell us different stories. None of us know everything we should know because we watch different sources. And then, of course, you have the Democrats and the Republicans. It used to be there was some negotiation and some compromise there, but now it's everything the Democrats do, the Republicans hate. Everything the Republicans do, the Democrats hate. So there's no compromise and negotiation. And that's the whole point of even having a Congress where people can come together and get some compromise. But we can't even do that anymore in Congress.
That's why I like Star Trek so much. It's because,
Star Trek?
yeah,
What the fuck's
because
that got to do with anything? Go ahead. I want to hear this.
of they had a united world.
Okay.
The United Federation of Planets made up. They knew how to come up with the Gene Roddenberry created the united world, so everyone was united as one.
But we have a problem with that, because there's one issue that separates a lot of us. The one issue that probably causes the most war and the most deaths in this world's history, that is religion, another divisive tool in this world. If you're Catholic, you don't like Muslims or whatever, it's always some ploy to divide people. When we come down to the basics, we're all just people. We can have different beliefs, we have different education, we have different races, different sexual orientations, but people keep wanting to separate us. And I think it maybe goes back to that old saying, divide and conquer. That's the way they can maintain a certain amount of control over us.
Would be.
It's not something that we can fix fairly quickly. We've got a lot of issues to fix in this country, and the division is one that we need to work with. We need to pull people together, but it's not likely when we have this much divisiveness in the politics. Um, we've got these, like I was saying, we've got this hearing for the gag order for Donald Trump. What's your thoughts on about what Donald Trump is saying, what he's spewing in public? Do you feel it's dangerous? Do you feel that it pushes violence forward?
Oh, hell yes, that guy could. Uh, um, that that guy has people listening to him. Listen, as he pointed out in the 2006 Nevada uh, Republican caucus, he loves the poorly educated because they listen to his every word.
Right.
And
Well, we've got the war. We'll talk more about the war with Hamas and Israel in the
the
next.
the more he speaks and tells people what to do indirectly, the more people will do it because they'll listen, they'll hear what they want to hear.
Right. Well, during after the election, Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and a number of other folks called out two election workers in Georgia, a mother and a daughter, talking about them doing drugs and selling drugs and fixing the election, and they weren't doing anything at all. These poor women were um, just doing their job. Donald Trump uh, outed them for something they didn't do. And now their lives have changed. They're getting death threats still to this day. They're having to change their lives. They're having to try to hide out because they're fearful of their lives. And now he's doing that in New York with Judge Engeron's law clerk. Judge Engeron specifically told him not to do that. He had a gag order, then the gag order's on hold while he appeals there. The fact that Donald Trump is putting citizens in this country, innocent citizens in this country, at risk and in danger is absolutely appalling. And I'm disgusted by our judicial system not being able to shut it down. They keep this stuff rolling, and they need to actually step up and do something to shut that dumb motherfucker up.
You know what appalls me is that they can't figure out that this guy thinks he's a mob boss. I mean, the facts are all there. When he was in the White House, they called him. He insisted on being called the boss,
Right.
and his company's called the Trump Organization. What other company, is called organization?
You know what's funny? Generally, most places that are called organizations are either criminal or nonprofit.
Exactly.
And Donald Trump is neither. As much as he wants to think of himself and he wants to behave like a mob boss, he's not bright enough to be a mob boss. He's more like the leader of the Apple Dumpling Gang because they keep fucking up at every turn.
Was that a Disney movie?
That was a movie. You have to be old enough to have watched it. And it was this hapless goofball gang of
Tim
idiots.
Conway and Don Knotts. I saw that movie.
Yeah, I would rather have Tim Conway or Don Knotts as president over Donald Trump, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. At least there'd be some laughs.
Yeah, there would be. Yeah, Donald Trump likes to think of himself as funny, but he's hardly funny at all. I tell you what, Dan, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay. All right.